Well, hey, podcast listeners, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And in episode 52 of the Pixar Post Podcast, we're going to chat about Cars 3 news and products. There's a bunch of it that came out today. We'll cover the Piper Q&A session where they answered one of your questions.
Yes, they did.
And we'll cover a whole bunch of other Pixar news over the last week and a half or so, including Stanton directing Stranger Things Season 2, how he would direct the Americans television show if he had the opportunity, and then we'll also segue into our Ask Pixar Post segment where you, the listeners, get to ask us questions and we'll answer them so you get to know a little bit more about us and our Pixar preferences, and we'll tie it all together as we transition from Andrew Stanton, who's the producer of Stranger Things, the television show, is Shawn Levy, and your connection or your passings with Shawn Levy.
Yes.
How about that? All right, well, let's dig into it. But you know the first thing that we must do at the beginning of a podcast is put you on the spot.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. So your first question is, and feel free to take your time and think about it.
Okay.
How many characters has John Ratzenberger voiced in a Pixar film?
In like a single film?
Now, how many characters has he voiced in all of Pixar's films?
All of Pixar films. Oh, okay.
Feel free to talk them through if you'd like.
Okay, well, all of them.
Yes, but how many characters? I knew it was going to be a little bit of a trick question.
Yeah, I should have been listening fully on that. Let's see. Mac.
Talk them through.
I know. Mac, Ham, the fish and Nemo, the crab and Dory, P.T. Flea, the maitre d'
From?
Ratatouille, John and Wally, Up. I'm blanking on Up. What is he in Up? Help me. I'm totally blanking. Oh, that's right. The construction worker guy. Oh, man, that's embarrassing. Okay, I'm going to say 12. 12?
Okay, there's 17 total films to date. He's voiced 13 characters.
Oh, I was so close.
All right, so people listening, how close were you, if you could take a guess? And let's go through them and see if you maybe were saying them out loud. So in alphabetical order of the name of the characters is Abominable Snowman. You didn't name that one.
I didn't name that one, but I was just thinking.
Yeah, from Monsters Inc. and Monsters U.
Yep.
Bill from Finding Dory. You said that.
Uh-huh.
The crab. Construction foreman Tom from Up. Earl from The Good Dinosaur. Fritz from Inside Out. Gordon the Guard from Brave. The School of Fish from Finding Nemo. John from Wall-E, which you said. Mm-hmm. Ham, obviously, from Toy Story 1, 2, 3. Mac from Cars 1 and 2. Mustafa from Ratatouille.
Yeah, Mustafa, that's his name.
P.T. Flea from A Bug's Life. And Underminer from The Incredibles. So let's see if you can rapid fire remember this. Now, we just listed them all, but what is the one film that he voices a different character in the sequel than the original?
Dory.
Yeah, okay. I mean, since we just talked it through, I figured it'd be kind of easy, but I wanted to have some fun with it. So how about this? What is your favorite character that he voices?
Ooh, that's kind of a hard one.
You can kind of tier it in two levels if you'd like, between main character and sub-character.
Sub-character?
Right, because a main character obviously going to be like a Ham or a Mac, something like that, where they're much more involved in the film.
Okay, well, versus
like Bill.
Yeah, I would say Ham.
Okay.
And then secondary Mustafa, the maitre d' and Ratatouille. Okay. I really, really like that character. Now,
Ham is great because he's got all of the one-liners.
Yeah, and like the sarcasm, kind of. He plays well with Potato Head.
Exactly.
I love that duo.
Right. But part of me is like, there's something special about his work as P.T. Flea, so I think that's my favorite.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one,
when he's talking about flaming death and just like, these bugs are going to make me rich, and just, I love that one.
And the character design matches so well with his voice, like his vocal work.
Which is really weird.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think outside of that, I think probably one of his more comedic ones too is The School of Fish.
Yeah.
From Finding Nemo.
I want to say Finding Dory.
Right, it's because we say it so often. Right, so I think I really like that one. But I mean, he works well with the Abominable Snowman too. But I'm still going with. Yeah. I'm still going to go with P.T. Flea's my favorite main, and that hurts to not say Ham, but I think so. but I feel like it's an unfair advantage for Ham because I've seen him in 3 films and all the shorts and everything else.
Right.
So I'm still going with P.T. Flea.
Okay.
All right, so I hear that you have a question for me as well this time.
I do, and it's tricky.
All right, I like tricky.
Now, it's tricky in the sense that I'm not sure how many people would know this unless you worked on this particular film.
Oh, well, perfect. I'm really excited to not get it right.
It's tricky.
Okay.
In the short for the birds, how many small birds are on the wire?
Oh.
Not including the large bird.
Right, I know what you're saying. Yeah, of the little cheap birds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How many birds? I'll give you multiple choice if you'd like.
Sure.
14, 15, or 16.
14, 15, or 16. Boy, you really just put it right in the middle there, too. I do not think you would have chose 15 and put it in the middle. You chose you chose an outer number. I feel like 16 is getting to too many. The answer is 14.
No, the answer is 15.
Oh!
I know, and it would be so obvious because 14 is my favorite number. So usually when we do things and it's something, the answer's 14, I usually always do that. But I gotcha.
Now, the other reason this bums me out because my first inclination after you said it, I didn't have this ahead of time, was 15 because it was an odd number. And I remember when they're pecking at his feet, it looks like it's heavier on, like there's one extra bird, I believe, to the right.
It is. On the right.
Yes. So the balance felt off. So that's why I wanted to say an odd number, but I didn't because you threw it in the middle. And usually you go to the outsides.
Yeah, well, I gotcha.
Well, darn it. But I like it, though. That's a good one. So 15.
I know, 15.
We did that post where we named like the first... the four birds. Right. Yeah, there you go. I like it. Yeah. Would you remember their names? I don't remember. It's like Bully, Chipper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember them all myself. But
should look back at our post.
All right. Well, now I'm going to get back at you, and I got one more for you. Continuing along the lines of the vocal cast.
Okay.
How many characters does Richard Kind voice in all of Pixar films?
Oh, it's like 2 or 3.
Well, name them out.
He does one in Cars, right?
I'm not answering that yet.
Well, Bing Bong.
Okay, yes.
I know he does. I think he does one in Cars. Just say yes or no.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And did he do one in Nemo?
Oh, this is getting painful, to be honest.
Oh man, so stressed out. I get on the spot. It's like my mind goes blank. I would not do well in a game show.
I can hear people in their cars or at work listening to this.
Honking their horn, being like, "What are you talking about?" I would not do well in a game show.
Okay, so I'll give you want a hint.
4.
If that is correct.
Yes.
But you couldn't name them all, so you just took a wild stab.
Well, I feel like okay.
Yep.
Bug's Life. Because Molt.
Yes, you got that now.
Bing Bong, and I know he did one in Cars, and he did one more, and I just can't figure it out.
Well, yeah. So he was Bing Bong in Inside Out, Molt in A Bug's Life, Van.
Yeah, because
with
Minnie
Van
and
Minnie in Cars 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is Ken, I don't know why this can't wait.
Oh.
Toy Story 3.
Bookworm.
Yeah.
I knew that.
It's sitting on the shelf right there, his toy.
Bookworm.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay, well, I got it right.
Right. So, good quiz. Hopefully you guys got some that were listening along as well and were challenged likewise. These were pretty tough ones this week.
Yeah, let me know if you guys get as stressed out as I do. Jeez.
All right, so let's dig into the news of the week. We have to start out with Cars 3 because today, being February 23rd, 22nd, 23rd? I don't know. It's one of these days. But the big news is that Pixar and NASCAR are teaming up for the entire NASCAR season to promote the film at many of their races throughout the seasons. There's going to be pop-up merch stands that are going to have merchandise that you can only buy early there. There's a whole bunch of it that's for sale on the NASCAR website.
And it is selling out fast.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we looked at, just before we started recording this, we looked at the Cars logo t-shirt, many. The Dynaco t-shirt that's on there. They say if you click on the certain sizes like small, medium, large, it says less than 5 left, less than 10 left. you better get it now kind of thing. And it
Yeah.
tells you how many people are purchasing per hour. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
It's kind of cool. It's very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
But let's talk a little bit more about this partnership here. So, kicking off on this Sunday, February 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the Daytona 500 kicks off. Now, we already did a post previously that Owen Wilson, the voice of Lightning McQueen, will be the Grand Marshal to kick off and say, drivers, start your engines.
Yep.
And there's also going to be a new promo that's going to be, they said that's going to be played ahead of, I don't know if it's going to be necessarily fully ahead of or like during the beginning of the race.
Right.
But we had seen last week that a new trailer had been rated.
On the, is it the Canadian
Yeah, it's
site?
the Alberta, Canada film rating site that they said that there's going to be another one rated. Fans posted it in the forum, started talking about it, saying we're getting a new trailer.
Do you remember the time length it was?
Yeah, it was like a minute and 30 seconds
okay.
again, which I was like, this doesn't feel like another trailer. It feels more like the extended teaser that was on during like the college football playoffs.
Yeah, the ESPN one.
The one at ESPN that was a minute and a half as well. So when I said, "Oh my gosh, we're going to get a new teaser," you said,
I can't remember. What did I say?
well, you said it sounds exactly like the.
Oh, that's going to be like exactly like the same with just new footage.
Yeah, but then you had said it sounds like it's not a new teaser. That's probably the teaser trailer that was rated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can't remember what I said.
It was like literally like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, whatever. But they also said that they're going to unveil, or that not that they're going to. They did at today's press event unveil a life-size Cruz Ramirez,
Which is incredible.
Yeah. So obviously we talked about, and I've already talked about the Cars 3 Lightning McQueen that was at the Detroit Auto Show.
And seeing this Cruz Ramirez character really has me excited for her character and to learn more about her, because not only is she, awesome, like a girl character, but she has Dynaco sponsorship.
Right. So how or why
And
was she sponsored by Dynaco? Now, we obviously speculated on this a little bit on our last podcast, so if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to that. We kind of just touched on the fact that it sounds like it's, and we talked about it in our post too, so for anything that we're talking about, if you need to reference any of these, just go to pixarpost.com, click on the podcast button, and again, look for episode 52. You'll find all of our show notes on there. But it sounds like it's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship. She comes in to help train Lightning McQueen against these new tech racers, and then our speculation, again, just a total guess at this point, is that then he starts to see the value in her and pushes her as she's pushing him to be a racer, and he's, you don't have to be on the sidelines. You are a racer kind of thing.
Yeah, because part of the Cruz Ramirez shirts that were released today say faster than fast.
Right.
So it has us kind of speculating that she becomes the racer.
Yeah.
And he becomes the trainer.
It could be. Could be. He could be the crew chief.
Yeah.
Could be the next phase in his career. We're very excited to see what's going to happen
so
next.
Excited.
But in addition to the news or seeing the Cruz Ramirez, they also announced some new vocal cast members. Now, with any of these Cars movies, you always get actual racers that do the voices for these cars. Like in Cars 2, Lewis Hamilton played himself. He was literally called Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
And then there was a whole bunch in Cars 1. Jeff Gorvette was Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
Many.
They normally try to soup him up to make him car sounding.
Soup him up.
Like that.
So they announced some new ones.
That was an intended pun.
Was it?
Yes.
I like it. So the theme of Cars 3, or one of the themes, is that it's Lightning McQueen, the older guy, against this new generation of young racers. Mm-hmm. And Pixar took that to heart when finding who was going to voice these characters, and a lot of them are these legitimately young racers. One guy's like 25.
I know, just turned, or I think, is that the guy that just turned 26? I
don't know, but that's really crazy to me.
That they got young.
Yeah, well, not just that. I just think about driving a car that fast at 25. I mean, I guess I get it, but...
I don't want to drive that car fast right now.
That's true. I would. Okay, so here's some of the people that are going to be doing it in case you know any of the NASCAR racers that are out there. Chase Elliott. His character is going to be Chase Racelot. Daniel Suarez is Danny Swerves.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Ryan Blaney is Ryan And then his nickname is Inside Laney. So Ryan Inside Laney. So obviously his character is going to be going for the inside lane. Mm-hmm. He's going to be pulling a Cole Trickle for anybody that knows. Oh my gosh, what was that movie with Tom Cruise? Days of Thunder. In case anybody knows that one. Cole Trickle was his name there. He took the inside.
Fantastic.
All right. Daryl Bubba Wallace Jr. will voice Bubba Wheelhouse. Love hearing all the cars' names. Mm-hmm. Daryl Waltrip will return as Daryl Cartrip. Jeff Gordon will return as Jeff Gorvette. Howard Augustine Humpy Wheeler Jr. will return as Tex Dynaco.
Which is so exciting because I really like Tex Dynaco. The cool, character design.
Cool character design. You gotta love that he's like Tex.
It just reminds me of the show horns. Dallas.
Yeah, for sure. Richard the King Petty will return as Strip the King Weathers. Mm-hmm. No surprise there. It wouldn't be the same without him. And additionally, Pixar has revealed that 2 Fox Sports reporters will have characters in the film. So Shannon Spake will voice the on-track reporter of Shannon Spokes. Kind of funny that they're going to have like the trackside. They already had some like trackside reporting before, but it was just audio. I don't think they ever threw it to anybody.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Right, and Mike...
other than in the very beginning, right before Lightning goes into the Rusties.
Well, you're right.
Yeah, so it was very quick.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mike Joy will voice the on-the-spot radio talk show host, Mike Joyride. So, taking on the role of Ray Reverham, Jackson Storm's crew chief, will be Ray Evernham.
I know. It goes Rever into Ever.
Oh, yeah. Ray like Reverham.
Revering the engine.
Ray Reverham and Ray Evernham.
Yeah.
So in Ray is the winner of 3 NASCAR championships as the crew chief for Jeff Gordon.
Which is cool that an actual crew chief, a winning crew chief, mm-hmm. is going to be the voice of Jackson Storm's crew chief.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Who is...
Yeah, so there's going to be really cool, like, audio.
Like how he talks, he's going to
really know how to do that.
Yeah, like, talk it quick and...
Yeah, and I know that I read this in an automotive magazine at some point that Ray has consulted with Pixar.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure so many people to talk through this.
So he was one of the people that they tagged. And I feel like it might have even been for, like, Cars 1, like, back in that time.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, so there's some other stuff that came out of it too. There was a new screen cap from the film, which we've seen the scene where we have Cruz Ramirez and Lightning McQueen on the beach getting ready for their training session.
Mm-hmm. Lots of concept art.
But it was concept art. Mm-hmm. There was a quick little clip in one of the trailers or teasers that was out there, but it's cool to see a high resolution image of it. Definitely check it out. Looks gorgeous. Can't wait to see more. So
you really see the decals on Lightning's like fin.
Yeah, where it says the Rusties. It's kind of like this like...
It's kind of off-centered.
Right.
Kind of like a limey, yellowy green.
It's gold.
Yeah, but
it's just the reflections of the color,
I'm just saying, but it just kind of like looks cool, like how the different color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I was thinking about one thing too. There's been nothing but excitement. We've had positive comments on our posts. People are retweeting it. They're talking about the merch that they're going to buy. So let's just talk about the Cars haters. So let's just admit it, people. You're into the film and you're excited.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that directly to anybody on here, because chances are if you're listening to this, you might be a fan. But it just kind of blows my mind that like all this, when Cars 3 was first announced, everybody's like, this is ridiculous. I want nothing to do with it. Those comments are pretty much faded at this point.
I agree.
And I think people are really just getting excited about it. And obviously, we've talked about it before. All we're hearing is that it's great, it's great, it's great. It's potentially the best of the trio. Obviously, we can't confirm anything because we haven't seen it.
It's very emotional.
And it's very emotional. In fact, John Lasseter even...
We're Cars franchise fans, not just for the merchandise, but for the stories and just the characters. And
right.
It's amazing how you get invested into a car. And I remember when the first teaser for the first Cars came out, and I was like, a car? I was really unsure about it.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
There were 2 films that I was like really unsure about. One was WALL-E and one was Cars, and I was wrong with both of them.
I think you said that with The Incredibles, too.
I did say it with The Incredibles, too.
Not The Incredibles 2, The Incredibles as well.
The first Incredibles, yeah. And I was wrong with all of them. But the Cars in particular, and WALL-E, just because they're metal machines. And I was like, how am I going to...
Well, yeah, you were like, I don't care about racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like I really do either.
And for WALL-E, I was just thinking of Short Circuit.
Right.
You know, the 80s film.
Right.
But, yeah, so Cars, and it's amazing how you do get invested. I mean, I cried in the first Cars. Mm-hmm. You know, when Mater and Lightning McQueen are talking. So it's just like...
I knew I made a good choice. We've talked about it on here before.
I
So the other thing we need to talk about, though, is the clothing, the other merchandise and apparel. It covers everything. So again, if you're looking for any of this, we strongly recommend checking it out. There's tons out there. We've been talking to our friends offline about it in the posts, everything. Shirts, hats, pins, flags, license plate frames, tons more, stickers, decals, keychains, yeah. So definitely check it out. There's one hat that I have in the cart right now.
I know, you just haven't.
And I can't figure out if I want to fully do it or not yet, because it's the red one, the bright red one that has the number 95 on it. I'm all over it, but I'm like, oof, it doesn't come out until May 15th. It's one of the ones that won't ship to you until May 15th unless you go to one of the races. It's an exclusive at the race early.
Right.
So I'm like, oh man.
Well,
you know, maybe there's one coming to Michigan International Speedway, you know, something like that. We
that's
can go.
true. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, they did say that they're going to be taking the life-size Lightning McQueen and Jackson
and Cruz Ramirez
on tour to a lot of these races. Probably not all, but to a lot of them. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, if they do, you never know. That would be a fun little adventure.
Yeah, for sure. So also we had talked about last week the Art of Cars 3 coming out, but we also want to point out that there's a new poster art of the World of Cars. That's a heck of a title. The Poster Art of the World of Cars book coming out. Comes out May 2nd, right before Art of Cars 3. It's 144 pages. It's a large-scale book. You have the...
kind of like a coffee table book, I think.
Yeah, it's a larger one like that. Well, it's the same format as the Art of Disney Parks, which you have. Mm-hmm. So, like, what do you think of when you think of the Art of that Disney Parks book?
Oh, I love it. If you're a fan, you need to have it because it shows, vintage posters, which is kind of like what this is going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to show original... poster artwork that was featured in the opening of Cars Land, that's in Cars Land now. Mm-hmm. Posters that were made for the film for Cars 2 that features all those different characters from all over the world. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here's the official description for the book. It says, time to the release of the new feature film Cars 3 from Pixar Animation Studios. This collector's art book showcases posters created for and inspired by all three Cars full-length feature films, as well as Cars Land at the Disneyland Resort and all 11 Mater's Tall Tale episodes and the 4 Tales from Radiator Springs episodes within the Cars Tunes series. Each thematic chapter will feature essay openers with quotes from the film themselves, plus from filmmakers and Imagineers about the creation process throughout. The deluxe package includes 3 gatefolds in the interior, so wide openings, plus 2 perforated pull-out poster sheets in the back. It's 144 pages. Looks like it's going to be pretty awesome.
Amazing. So excited for this book.
Yeah, I feel like we need like 2 or 3 copies.
I know.
So I'm excited for that one. Last little bit of Cars merchandise that we heard. So we had our Twitter user that follows us, Daniel E., give us a heads up that he was at his local GameStop. And when he was there, they were looking in the computer, and he saw that there was a Cars 3 pop vinyl listing for some characters. And he said that it didn't have a ton of descriptions, but it did mention the names Lightning McQueen and Cruz Ramirez. So sounds like those characters are going to be coming in a pop vinyl format as well.
Yeah,
and they've made many of them for other characters. So
if you're a pop vinyl collector, you'll be excited about this.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next area we want to talk about was the Piper Q&A session that happened just a couple days ago. So in preparations for the Academy Awards this Sunday, lots going on Sundays. We're going to be watching a lot of TV between the Daytona 500 and now the Oscars. So Alan Berlero, the director, and Mark Sondheimer, the producer of Piper, were down at the Facebook LA Oscar Lounge. They answered pre-submitted questions as well as some live questions that came through, and just about the film and what people were thinking about it, and we were very excited that a question you had submitted
was answered.
So before we even play it, what were your thoughts on, because we're going to play a clip of the question and then their answer, so what were your thoughts when they selected you to have yours answered?
I was really excited because the Q&A was only about 20 minutes, and I think they answered 5 to 6 total questions. It wasn't too...
And there was a ton submitted.
There wasn't too many, but I was really excited.
Yeah, I thought about it. The whole thing was 20 minutes. The time that they spent with your question was about 3 minutes. So it's like 12% of the total time.
And they showed a clip of the short.
That's true. Yeah, it was
that was
pretty
like
cool.
a minute and a half.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I told you afterwards that I thought it was a really great question. We had kind of just talked about on the last podcast with Borrowed Time, that short film, and how they had recorded themselves. So I thought it was really cool that you carried that through to this and said, what were your thoughts and where were you when you heard this and what did it mean?
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a listen to it.
Hello out there, Facebook. My name is Mark Sondheimer, the producer of Piper.
I'm Alan Baralero, the director of Piper.
We are sitting here at the Facebook Oscars Lounge in Los Angeles, California, and we are excited to discuss our film with you and take your questions. We're going to show a clip today and respond to any questions that you might have. Okay, this one comes from Julie Reed Wolsos. Could you share where you were when you watched the Academy Award nomination and the feelings you felt having the team's hard work recognized?
It was me and Denzel Washington and Justin Timberlake. I remember we were at a cafe.
And Emma Stone walked in and she tapped me on the shoulder.
Or I was at home. It was about 5:30 in the morning. It was dark, and I was just trying not to wake up my 3 kids upstairs, and with headphones. And my family's back in Canada, Toronto, on the East Coast, so I was listening to it with them streaming. And I realized at that moment I'm not very good at going through the alphabet and how many letter P's there are when you're being nominated. There's Pearl is being nominated, Piper, and Pear Cider and Cigarettes. So I quickly was trying to calculate that. But then my kids woke up and my boy grabbed me and said, because he's just in soccer mode now, and it was like, so are you going to the championship? And I said, yeah, it's kind of like that. And he said, just try your best. That's all that matters. So I thought that was great morning advice for hearing about the nomination.
I was in the middle of the Caribbean, and I didn't hear about it for 24 hours. The nominations had been announced, but I had my phone off, and about 24 hours later at 5 in the morning, all was well.
Yeah.
I was just getting home, and my cabin roommate turned on his phone and he held it up to me, and on it had a message from his wife and my good friend saying congratulations. So that's how I heard. And actually the second part of your question I really like, because the feelings you felt having the team's hard work recognized. And we are here, but we are truly here. These films are a collaboration. It's all about collaborative and good ideas coming from the entire crew, and I am so happy for the crew and honored to be a part of it, and so happy that their hard work did get recognized, and it is an awesome achievement, and we don't take this nomination lightly. And it's a beautiful thing for us and for the entire crew to feel that.
Is this, Barbara Walters on?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. Let's move on to the next question, shall we?
Very exciting stuff. Really excited that they held this session in general. Even more exciting that they answered your question. And good job submitting that one.
Oh, thank you.
So be sure to head to our site again as well. We have a link to watch the entire video, as well as highlighted a couple additional questions from that as well that were really interesting. One where they talked about, and we talked about it in the post too, but where they talked about that early versions of the short had Piper, the little bird, not eating what she was eating at the end, those little shells.
Like clam things.
Little clam things. Yeah, she was eating worms, and they said when it was hand-drawn, it was super cute. You know, they got like this like image of her pulling one out of the ground, and then it wraps around her. They said kind of like a spaghetti noodle wrapped around a fork. They said they were Lady and the Tramping her and all this other stuff, but once it got into CG and it got too real looking, it was just gross. So, kind of funny.
Yeah.
That, you know, you don't think of those things. You gotta, and that was a question somebody asked them too, is like, you know, what would you change? And they're like, we wouldn't change anything because you had to go through it.
Right.
In order to get where it got now.
And then I liked hearing about the musical process.
Working with Adrian Belew, the composer.
Yes.
There you go. I thought it was interesting that they also said that was one of the challenges they had along the way was finding the right.
That's what I found interesting.
Yeah. Okay. That portion of it.
Yeah. When Alan, you know, was just like, I had a hard time. He didn't want to settle, basically. And I like that. It was very real. It's very true, because this being like your first film, you want it to sound how you hear it, how you see it in your head, and how you hear it in your head with that. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could relate. Can't relate to it, but
I
felt it.
Yeah, you understand.
Yeah, I understood it.
The other thing that I thought was actually really cute that I wanted to address too was about in the question that they answered that you asked was where Alan was talking about trying to stay quiet to not wake up his kids, but then his kids came downstairs and his son asked him, like, because he's in soccer mode, are you going to like the championship? Yeah, it's just really cute. Like he's like, well, just
try
do
your best.
Yeah.
My gosh,
kids,
so cute.
All right, cool. So definitely check that out for some more news and watch their whole Q&A session. Some other news segments, Pixar related. So Run Disney, they announced that their Run Disney theme, I should say, this year at the parks is Pixar themed.
Well, just Run Disney for the Disneyland Half Marathon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes, so that's from August 31st through September 3rd.
Yep, it's the Disneyland Half Marathon weekend, and it will be a semi-Pixar, well, I guess it's like a Pixar theme. It will take you through some of Pixar's beloved films.
Would you like to read the descriptions?
No, you can.
Okay. Some of the different themes out there. So Adventure is out there at this year's Kids Race featuring Up. So it's a kids race featuring Up. Mr. and Mrs. Incredible are ready for the run in the Disneyland 5K theme. Mike and Sully host 6.2 miles of scares at the Disneyland 10K. Race to Infinity and Beyond with the Pals of Toy Story at the Disneyland Half Marathon.
Which that medal is probably going to be amazing.
Because it's going to be Toy Story themed?
I know.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I know.
Dang it. And then the Disneyland Double Dare, celebrating Pixar Animation Studios. Do you know anything else about that or the Double Dare? I saw other people commenting on the...
I did too, and you know what?
They were saying it's like their favorite thing.
It's kind of embarrassing. I mean, I did the Disney World Half Marathon. What was that, 2011?
Sure.
2009.
Okay.
But I don't remember a Double Dare thing. They had Goofy.
The Goofy Challenge.
And now they have Dopey.
Maybe they switched it up and that's what it was last time.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll have to look into it. But either way, so what makes a Disney 5K, 10K, half marathon more unique than a standard one?
You don't have to be a runner because I wasn't. I didn't train one day. Well, maybe one day I went on a long walk. But it's so much fun. It's just thousands of people, and they're all people who are athletes, people who are just Disney fans, people are dressed up. Every mile is like a party. Everyone's just celebrating, having fun. There's characters throughout. You get to run through the parks, which is amazing.
They get to rope off a lot of stuff, which you ran it with your mom.
I did.
And I basically tried to keep up with you guys from park to park, and I would have to like by myself like jump to the tram on one and then jump to this and then take a bus.
Because we only did the half marathon, so we basically just ran from Epcot to Magic Kingdom and back. But the full marathon runs through all the parks.
Right.
I can't do that.
But yeah, it was exciting.
it was just really fun. And it's in the morning, it's cold, but then you get hot. And I don't know. It's just so fun.
It is interesting.
It's like your face hurts from smiling so much.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I'm curious to see. I don't know the route they use in Disneyland.
Right.
Because the parks it's smaller.
It's got to go through Cars Land.
Yeah, it's got to. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be cool. It also made me think that they release usually some type of merchandise for these events.
Yeah, because there was the expo beforehand that we had to go to pick up our packet and stuff. And there were
there's like
shirts,
New Balance themed shoes, like exclusive stuff.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's got to be an expo beforehand.
But it's going to be probably Pixar themed though, so it'll be interesting to see what merchandise comes from that. So as we hear more or see more, we'll definitely let you guys know as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that came about is a week ago, Nick Patera did a tour of Pixar. In case you haven't seen it, it's a kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type video where people would put in the comments, he would say, do you want to go to A or B? Being like, do you want to go to the studio store or the recording booth? Do you want to go here or here? And people would write in, then they'd go to that location. Definitely head to our site if you haven't seen the video. We've talked about it a little bit. We've tweeted it out a lot. But the one thing I wanted to talk about from it at this point was we saw in the background
Easter egg, semi.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Sorta.
I wanted to ask your opinion on it. So I spotted it. You said, "Hey, nice eye." It was when he's walking through the Coco the production area, and they had some cool, like really great artwork. It looked like they had a whole bunch of of course skeletons and the paper art that goes along with it. But then they also had some piñatas that were up on top of like bookcases, shelves, some sort. And they had, the standard piñatas that you might expect to see. But then all of a sudden at the end of the row, they had a little a Buzz and Woody. Now, I don't know, maybe they weren't even piñatas. They could have been some other art form specifically designed for that.
They looked like piñatas to me.
But wouldn't that be... So what made me think it had to be an Easter egg? Somebody could have just been using the characters to test making those, and like how do you make a piñata. They could have done like a class, because a lot of times they do interactive stuff at Pixar. Maybe it was just a fun class that they were doing to make piñatas, and somebody chose those characters.
Maybe someone just found them
it could be that they were
in
already
like a store, and they were like, look at these hilarious piñatas.
Could be they were already produced. But it just made me think, how awesome would it be to hide characters as piñatas in this movie?
Yes. Especially since the movie after this... Oh, no, it's not going to be now.
What were you thinking? Were you thinking Toy Story?
Yeah.
You know what, though? To be honest, that could be...
It could be, because they changed it.
The dates were set up. This could be already what the original intent was. Because, yes, originally it was going to be Toy Story 4.
You're right, because Monsters University had Arlo, Good Dinosaur characters.
Right, and that ended up getting pushed. Right.
Yeah,
so it could be.
Could be.
We could have found the next film, what the little connection would be. But who knows? But either way, we just thought it was really exciting.
Yeah, it was a good spot. Good eye.
Yeah, thought that was kind of fun. We had a couple other people on Twitter reply to us and say, I spotted those too, and I was wondering kind of
they weren't
something
hidden
similar.
too well, but still.
Well, no, they weren't intended to be hidden.
No, yeah.
They probably didn't know he was going to be walking directly down that hall. But it was really cool seeing that area and where that production area is, just as far as for a fun fact. When I was in the studio, that area was where the Inside Out production was. And just to the right, when he first walks through those doors, is where we sat at that table. And one of the most memorable moments I've ever had there, walking in and literally seeing Pete Docter and Jonas Rivera sitting at that table right there. And they're like, come and sit down. Just blew my mind. Still blows my mind. I can't even believe that was like a real moment. So, moving on, another news topic that we wanted to cover, some more Lou updates. So, the last podcast we talked about Lou, that the film was announced, it was going to touch on tackling bullying. Now we know that the film's broad premiere, because it was premiered as part of a Disney Moms panel, but it wasn't an official premiere, it was just shown to them.
It was shown to them.
But the official premiere is going to be at South by Southwest on March 12th. That we announced this on our site probably about a week and a half ago, but there were some other elements of it that I really wanted to call out. So we obviously know director Dave Mullins, executive producer Pete Docter, and John Lasseter. So this is pretty exciting to see Pete Docter's name there. We had somebody on Twitter as well go, hey, I've heard through the rumor mill that Pete Docter might be a producer of this. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another producer, Dana Murray, the main producer, Dana Murray. Screenwriter, Dave Mullins as well. Cinematographer, Adam Habib. Editor, Anthony Greenberg. Production designer, Albert Lozano. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Sound designer, Jeremy Bowker. And then music by Christoph Beck. So it was great to get in this South by Southwest announcement some more credits that we could get a look at.
Albert Lozano designed your favorite scene in Inside Out, correct?
Yeah, the part where they're all breaking down.
They go to 2D.
Yeah. They go to all the different shapes. Yeah, so I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
That he's going to be, when I saw his name attached to Lou as well. So I was excited there. Also at South by Southwest, if anybody's going, let us know. We'd love to know if you're going to be a part of another session that Dave Mullins is speaking at. It's called the 90-Minute Film School. And it's a series of 5 15-minute presentations. And Dave's pitch, I'm just going to read the official description, is how to pitch a compelling short project. He says any employee at Pixar Animation Studios can seize the opportunity to make a short film at the studio, but in order to do so, individuals have to pitch 3 ideas to a group of studio leaders in the hopes that one of the stories is greenlit. In the session, Dave Mullins, director of Pixar's Lou, talks about his experiences pitching ideas over the course of his 16 years at the studio, giving audience members some tips and highlights on how to pitch a short project effectively. It says Mullins will walk through some examples of what worked and what didn't, and what ultimately granted him the chance to make Lou. That's really cool.
That's really cool insight.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're not going to be able to be at South by Southwest, but we would love to hear if anybody is, so definitely let us know. Send us an email, info@pixarpost.com, or we have a voicemail hotline that you can call. The phone number is just on our homepage, 415-799-POST. How about that? So really exciting news. Can't wait to see more from Dave, Lou, and the crew. Mm-hmm. How about that? Rhymes. So also we want to talk about, it's, again, something that happened a little bit ago, but Andrew Stanton directing 2 episodes of the upcoming Netflix phenomenon, Stranger Things, Season 2. So Shawn Levy, the producer of Stranger Things, noted that Andrew called me out of the blue and said, I love it. I would be honored to be part of it. What I wanted to take away from that is I talk a lot about, when I talk to people at work, about asking for things. Mm-hmm. So unless you ask, you cannot receive it. Right. It's not a new topic. I didn't create this, like as far as just ask, but I made it like a whole theme for this year, like just ask it for all the people on my team. So he just asked and he just got it.
And it reminds me of Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he says that too.
Just ask. That the whole video where he was young and he just kept calling, I think it was like HP.
Yeah, he's calling Hewlett Packard and he's calling a whole bunch of other places asking for parts to build and put together a computer and ask
I'll give you a job.
Yep. You never know.
You just have to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not my idea, but I've just been talking about it a lot recently. So when I saw this, cracked me up. Also, after Andrew said that he was going to do that, I thought it was kind of interesting that he tweeted out that he was really excited for new episodes of the FX show called The Americans. And a Twitter follower messaged him named Jack and asked if he would be interested in directing an episode of The Americans. And this guy is not associated with the show. He was just like, would you? Yeah. Right. And Andrew replied with, in a New York minute. So I thought that was really interesting. So Andrew is, and I could imagine as a director, you want to get involved with as many things as you can. The more things you get involved with, the more experiences you have, the more, seasoned you're going to be in your craft and get used to working with more people. So it's kind of interesting just to see how open he is to what is going to come next.
And I think he obviously likes both mediums.
Yeah, for sure.
Animation and live action.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously with the John Carter connection and everything. Mm-hmm. So Andrew will direct episode or chapters 5 and 6. And temporarily they're called The Storm and The Pollywog. So we'll keep you guys up to date as we hear some more. All right, so with the show's producer being Shawn Levy, you had a run-in. We're kind of talking about recently this Ask Pixar Post segment where we ask the users and listeners to send in their questions about Pixar topics or just off-the-cuff stuff if they want to get to know us a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of use this as our segue into that segment. And we do have some questions from a user that submitted them, HayLee. But let everybody know your connection of when you ran across Shawn Levy.
All right. So this was gosh, I can't remember the year. Maybe you remember the year.
I don't. For Real Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, so the movie Real Steel about an underground robot battles.
Boxing was outlawed.
Yeah.
So now there was robots that box.
Only robots could box. Hugh Jackman was in the film. He was the lead actor, and Shawn Levy was the director. Well, it was filmed here in Michigan, and I was an extra in the film in a couple of different locations. And this one location was a smaller scene. It was like an outdoor carnival. It's if you watch the film, it's the first scene. It's where the movie opens. We filmed there for about a week, and it not much was shown. Well, I mean, I guess a good part of it was shown. But anyway, one of the nights that we were filming, because we filmed into the night, we filmed some night scenes, and I don't believe any of the night scenes were used. Mm-mm. But all of a sudden, a storm rolls in, and this is a full-on carnival. They've got like carnival games set up in like trailers, tents and everything. Then they have people on horses. The horses start bucking. The tornado sirens start going off. And now we have like 100 extras that everyone's told to run. So now we're running.
So they got on like a megaphone and they said like,
yeah, run.
Yeah.
And so it's starting pelting rain. Okay. And our huge tent that all our stuff is in is now blowing away. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, you move out. You have to go lay on the hill. So we had to lay on a hill in like a ditch with the tornado sirens going off.
Yeah, totally nerve-wracking. You're chuckling about it now, but that night you were not.
No, I was covered in mud and it was freezing and it was scary, and I was terrified.
And they were so like kind of shaken. The crew was so shaken how quick this storm just kind of popped up and came in.
It popped up and came out of nowhere. And what's crazy is when we were running, the trailers that these games were in were falling in front of us because the wind was so hard. And, and I'm sure the production people were like, oh my gosh, I hope you don't want to get anybody get hurt.
Right.
But when I think of Shawn Levy, I think of that day because it was a fun experience.
Well, sure. Yeah, and then you shot stuff in downtown later on where
we shot stuff in downtown Detroit.
What was the name? Zeus was the main tough robot.
Yes, the tough robot.
Right. So you were buying some of his merch.
I was buying some of his merch, and I was walking in.
At the inn, that's scene you can see her in. But the other thing that was cool is because back to the scene when you were outside with the tornado and everything. Mm-hmm. They were so distraught that they just said, everybody just leave. So you came home. And
I came home in my costume.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
my wardrobe.
Yeah, it was like all like Western-y
Yeah,
feel.
it was kind of like, they wanted to be kind of like a middle America, like rodeo. Mm-hmm. So I had cowboy boots on, like a jean skirt and like a flannel shirt.
Flannel-y top, yeah. What intrigued us too is that the clothing. Well, do you remember like the tags? It says like movie studio company or something like that made all the clothes.
Yeah, my outfit did. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting that like the actual like sewn in tags, they were all like custom made clothes.
Things were custom. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a fun experience.
Yeah. So before we jump fully into the Ask Pixar Post segment, the other thing I want to talk about is in our last episode, we had the question from Don S. who asked the question about like veggies, kind of comparing it like which veggies do we not like?
Oh, yes,
because of Riley not liking her broccoli. And so we've gotten almost more responses from the whole Brussels sprouts comment that he included in there. Like he said, I bet you don't like Brussels sprouts. And then I said, I kind of did if you prepare them right. Mm-hmm. So our friend Giovanni replied, he said, absolutely, he agrees. If you prepare them right, they're wonderful. But Don wrote us back in another comment. I thought it was awesome. He said, TJ, I'm going to have to take you at your word that Brussels sprouts are delicious if prepared correctly, because that has not, in all caps, been my experience. I maintain they're unappetizing, but if given an opportunity to eat them from someone who knows what they're doing, I'll try them again. Promise. I think. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's cute.
But Don, I bet you would be willing to eat them if you were out to dinner with Pixar folks and they came on your plate and you were in the moment and you ate them. I bet you'd eat them. It was good stuff. So this week's question comes from HayLee. So thank you for submitting that. If anybody has any questions that they want to get to know us a little bit better or just ask us some fun things and our opinions, send us an email, info@pixarpost.com. You can go to the contact us button on our page. There's a form you can fill out there. Send us a message on Twitter. However it works for you. We'll oblige any questions, at least that we can. So her first question says, what Cars character would you be and why? Not including any Cars 3 characters. So would you like me to go first?
Yes, you go first.
Okay, so I kind of thought through my list here. So my first inclination should be, well, if I want to be a Cars character, I should be TJ Hummer. I'm TJ, yeah. I should be TJ Hummer. But then I'm like, nah, he's kind of like, although he's a big guy, he's kind of like, yeah, I got dirt in my rims, which, by the way, voiced by Dan Scanlon. So then I was like, no, let's not do that. Then I thought of the next one was Finn McMissile. And I'm like, well, he's sleek, he's smart, he's got the cool British accent, like, you know. Then I was like, nah, not really fully me, though. And then I was like, do I just want to be Lightning? He gets... I went around all these different options. And then I started thinking Luigi and Guido, because I love both of them. I did land on Lightning, though.
Okay.
So this is where I would be. So A, he gets to race. That's pretty cool. He's good at it. That's cool. He's down to earth now. He had to go through some growth. I feel like I did too. But he had to go through some growth. So he's down to earth now. And he loves his girlfriend, Sally. Maybe more.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
How about you?
Can you guess? You had a guess.
You're goofy. I would say Mater.
That's good. Fillmore.
Oh, yeah, I should have thought about that too. Tie-dye.
Yeah. And he's a Volkswagen.
That's true. Yeah, which you do like your Volkswagens.
I do love Volkswagens. Granted, he's a Volkswagen bus, which I still dig Volkswagen buses, but yeah, I'd be Fillmore. All
right, I like it.
Yep.
Any other reason other than the fact that...
I think he's laid back. I think he's nice. I love the colors.
He's into conspiracy theories?
Yeah. Yeah, because I am too.
Yeah, I guess.
No.
All right, so her next question is, also, if you could shadow a Pixar employee for 1 week, who would it be and why?
Oh, man.
Now, this one...
Oh, I got mine.
This one I went around many, many times, but I'll let you do yours first since you said you had it right that fast. Okay?
Greg Dykstra.
Greg Dykstra?
Or Jerome Ramp.
No, you get one.
Well, they both work in the same department.
All right, so you're basically looking to get into the sculpting.
I'd like to watch the sculptors. I want to see how they go to the directors, how they go to the animators, how they go to the production design crew. I want to see how they take something, words and drawings, and then sculpt them and then go back and forth and make those edits. I'd like to see that process.
All right.
And that's a process that they don't really talk about too much. They kind of talk about it, but you don't really see behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, anything is kind of like on the surface, but it would be interesting to hear more and see more about that.
So I would like to see that. I mean, your first inclination is like, oh, I'd love to see, a day in the life of John Lasseter.
Okay,
like,
yep.
Standing next to him. But when I think of that, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Now, that's interesting. The first thing, without a doubt, that came to my mind, without a doubt, was John Lasseter. I'm like, and I hate to say it because it seems too typical, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. Because who wouldn't want to, have insight to every film that's going on?
That's true.
I mean, I'm thinking about it from that standpoint. I'm also thinking about it from, we've seen the documentary that's out there that shows like his day in the life where he wakes up, he goes in his closet, shows all the shirts, he's eating cereal with his son and all this other stuff. But I want to see the hectic schedule in real life and see how crazy it really is. I still can't get over how he does it all. I know he's got help, but how do you still do it all? It seems like...
Two studios.
Because we've talked about it. Every time we have a discussion with somebody, they're like, yeah, that was a John Lasseter idea. We've talked about it, so we don't need to dig into it again. Yeah. But it's just amazing to me how many ideas and how many things he touches and has, puts forth. So I think that's my first, but if I had to go another, I'm going to do exactly what I would have predicted you would have said. Kelsey Mann.
Oh, well, see, I've talked to Kelsey Mann before.
why I would want to shadow him for a week.
Because the story department.
Well, and again, the story department is not like, it wouldn't be my, like,
Yeah,
we talk
not
about
your wheelhouse.
We talk about like what our first choices would be. That wouldn't be the first one. But the reason why I would love to see it, again, it's kind of what you said for Greg Dykstra. I want to see that collaboration between the departments. They have people coming in, the writers coming in, they have directors coming in, saying what's going on here, what are we doing with this? But then I want to see like all those jokes flying. That funny book.
Yeah.
The book Funny inside the Pixar story room for 25 years of laughs and all that.
Right.
That one, like, I'm like, that just seems like if you're going to spend a week there. Because I did think about, I literally looked at our list of people that we interviewed for the Pipeline podcast series. And I was like, oh man, Jason Johnston, that would be really cool to see the effects. And then I'm like, Mayar. I'm like, yeah, that would be cool for the layout. And I was like, Louis. I'm like, yeah, well, he's in the story department. So then that's what kind of got my mind thinking. Once I got to Louis Gonzalez, I was like, okay, that's where I want to go there. That's why I would want to go there. I want to see that partnership back and forth, the fast drawing, the
and
talking
plus that
through
energy
the story.
level is like your energy level.
Yeah, so I that's what I think I would go for. If I didn't want to take the easy answer in my head of John Lasseter,
Okay.
I'd go for...
So does my answer surprise you then?
I thought, without a doubt, I thought you were going to say, anybody listening, join me in saying out loud that if you know this, Kelsey Mann or Mark Andrews.
They're both very energetic people, and I love that energy. But yeah, no, I would...
Guess that's why you like me, huh?
Yeah, I know, because you're very energetic. I like being around people that are very energetic.
Guess so.
And are silly.
Meanwhile, you want to be Fillmore. The laid back, like, hey, man.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
intriguing.
I just want to be entertained.
You just want to sit back and be entertained.
Maybe that's why I like being around people that'll make me laugh.
All right.
I can just
Guess
sit
I better not ever slow down, huh?
here. Yeah, well, better not.
Oh, boy. All right. So, yes, if you have any questions, we'd love to hear them. It's a ton of fun for us to dig in and think through some of these. Before we sign off, though, we do want to give a couple shout-outs. So we had Alex on Twitter. He wrote us a tweet that said, I listened to episode 51, and just said, just listen to episode 51 of the Pixar Post Podcast. What a great episode. Also, Benson, who said, just finished the podcast, and it was amazing. Love the story you told about the restaurant and Jimmy Fallon. So thank you guys for reaching out. We really appreciate the feedback. We always say, if you like today's show, let us know. Rate us on iTunes, leave a comment on our site, or send us an email, info@pixarpost.com. We always love to hear it. If there's one thing I'll ask you this week, it's go to iTunes, be sure to give a rating, whether you want to give just the star rating in the section, or if you want to leave a feedback rating, that would be even like a text write-up, that would be even more helpful. The more people do that, the more people find our podcast. It gets rated higher when people search for animation podcast, that type of thing. It really helps us out, so I appreciate it. So I think that about wraps it up. What do you think?
I think so.
All right, so be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Overcast, or Stitcher. Signing off as usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news. Bye-bye.